Innocent fan dies after league violence. Lae Police Chief says homebrew cause of city crime. And court imposes injunction on Namah tribunal.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me with Friday's news. Joe Piddick from the East New Britain province died last night from injuries he received following last weekend's Intercity Cup brawl. He was hit in the head with a rock thrown by angry Mount Hagen Eagles supporters and was rushed to hospital where he was in critical condition before finally succumbing to his injuries last night. Elijah Lavette with this report.
The incident occurred after a Hagen Eagles official sparked a fight with the match referee following the Egmont Warriors' 1912 win last weekend at the Sir John Guy Stadium. Eagles fans then got involved, which saw the fight escalate onto the road. Joe Piddick and Deson Wairo were on their normal Saturday work shift at the Mosby betting shop. They were driving back to their workplace in a company vehicle which was flying a Gurius team flag when they were confronted by angry Eagles supporters at the Gordons roundabout.
Only attack me plan now because the flag na yon sabla boys plan me plan tu very mol chesi blog Guria. So I think only looking this plan now only thing was me plan or supporters na only come find me plan. So I'm only come yet only no give chance lo me plan. I'm only starts Tony me plan. Me try long moving car by me play escape but me late. So all smash mo get glass inside long car ya. All mangi sampla stop lo back sell car only sleepy go inside lo car the truck. So one boy where me to play one time sit down and move side lo me this la now me kisim stone only stone me one time stone lo head lo en.
Wairo said they had no idea about what had happened in the stadium.
Me play no been watching game or me play start lo workplace ya. But true also me play bullying flag lo me play because me play supporters lo go rest na one also mol boss lo me play tu mol main sponsor lo gure tu. So me play sawe also me play all supporters lo gure tu.
Guys, tomorrow's games for Joe Piddick. Alright, thanks.
Mosby betting shop owner Jamie Pang condemned the actions of the Eagles official and the people involved.
It was a ripple effect from one man's actions inside the stadium that led to this whole effect where my boys were assaulted and one of our true honest workers, Joe Piddick, just trying to work and support his family, was murdered. So this must stop. It's not a good thing. Let's take it as a positive now and we'll move forward for non-violence in this country, especially these games. The violence must stop. That is my message here.
The Egmont Gurius team and SPPNJ Hunters coach Michael Marum made time available to pay respect to the family of the deceased. Joe was described by his workmates as a humble and hard-working person who has now, through no fault of his own, leaves behind his wife and his one-year-old baby. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV News.
The Wegani National Court has issued an injunction to restrain a leadership tribunal to further inquire into allegations of misconduct by Vanimo Green MP Belden Namah. Namah sought relief for a permanent injunction but was granted with a temporary injunction. Namah argued that the tribunal was biased in dealing with his matter.
Mr. Namah argued in this human rights proceeding that the current tribunal that presided over his allegations of misconduct in office is biased and has breached the natural justice. Human rights judge David Cannings agreed with his submissions and has issued a temporary injunction in the interest of justice.
Namah's allegations of misconduct in office came after he stormed into the courtroom where Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia was presiding over a case in 2012. He ordered police and soldiers to arrest Sir Salamo for interacting with Justice Nicholas Kiriwom, while there were two Supreme Court references on foot to determine the legality of the then O'Neill Namah government. The National Court refused Namah's submission that the appointment of the tribunal by Chief Justice was unlawful or improper on the fact that he was a victim and a witness. Justice Kennings granted Namah's bid for an injunction to restrain the leadership tribunal to inquire and determine Namah's allegations.
I'm very happy with that decision today. Firstly, I want to thank all the Christians throughout the country who have been praying for me. I want to thank all my supporters throughout Papua New Guinea, my family who has been going through this with me. I want to give this victory to God and to the people of Papua New Guinea.
The court granted Namah's submission that the conduct of the leadership tribunal during the course of litigation did give rise to a reasonable apprehension of bias on their part. Pasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The government of the Federated States of Micronesia has thanked the government of Papua New Guinea for connecting both countries through air services that will be operated by Air New Guinea. Assistant Secretary for Civil Aviation Messi Halbert exclusively told MTV News this new flight route will strengthen trade links and provide more business opportunities. It will also promote a sense of pacificness between both countries. Fabian Hakalitz with this report.
Air New Guinea yesterday began the special services to Chuuk and Phnom in the Federated States of Micronesia. I was privileged to be on this flight with 70 divers and others by chance. We booked on flight PX 4072 operated by Boeing 737-700. After 2 hours 40 minutes, the bird of paradise touched down at Chuuk. Then from Chuuk, it took another hour to Phnom. In an exclusive interview with Mr. Halbert, Air New Guinea's special service, it was historical and both countries will work together to ensure this service is sustained.
Absolutely. I will continue to do my part so that our plans for December continues and go as planned.
Air New Guinea Chief Executive Officer Simon Fu says the partnership is about sharing costs involved in operating this service, and industries like tourism will be promoted.
And it will be twice a week from Port Moresby to Chuuk, Anapai and return, and it will be on the back end of the day when it gets done in the evening.
This service saves time and cost. A passenger, Quinton Devlin, who works in the Solomon Islands, told MTV News it now only takes 3 hours to Phnom rather than connecting through different countries.
From Honiara, this was the best flight and best options to come to Phnom at this time.
It's always a privilege for operating crews like Athel Samlai because normally they are randomly selected.
I'm very privileged and thank Air New Guinea for giving me this opportunity to have being the crew selected to be the purser of this flight.
This special service is in preparation for the passenger scheduled service on December this year. Now, Air New Guinea Chief Executive Officer Simon Fu says the direct service between Papua New Guinea and the Federated States of Micronesia marks Air New Guinea's commencement and major expansion in the Pacific and for Port Moresby as the Pacific's hub in the aviation industry. In Phnom, Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
On a related note, Air New Guinea will also assist with travel requirements for the 47th Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Meeting to be held in the Federated States of Micronesia. The PIF meeting is scheduled for September in the capital, Phnom.
Air New Guinea's special services to the Federated States of Micronesia is timely as the national airline will help ferry the delegation to the 47th Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Meeting. The meeting will be held in Phnom from September 7 to the 11th. Yesterday, some participants of the forum were privileged to be on the special service flight PX 4072. Former Secretary General of the Pacific Islands Forum and now a director to the Air New Guinea Board, Sir Noel Levy, told MTV News it was history for the national airline.
I was excited to meet some of the old colleagues from the Pacific who had seen us down there on this flight. And I think the Pacific Island leaders will no longer have to go through Australia and be intimidated by the visa system down there. And I think most of them will be happy to come to Port Moresby and do FSM.
Since joining the Pacific Islands Forum, Sir Noel said this will weigh down travelling time for the Federated States of Micronesia and connect all the Pacific Island countries.
It's the first time ever that PNG will be able to provide them the connectivity to the Pacific. Since they joined the Pacific Islands Forum, they've been so isolated because it takes much longer for them to travel to the Pacific through Hawaii or through Manila.
In the meantime, Air Niugini Board Chairman Sir Frederick Raya says the national airline was happy to provide the service.
We would like to explore flying to Kiribati, Republic of Kiribati, and Marshall Islands to complete the Micronesian states.
Air Niugini will operate another special service on the 7th in time for the opening of the Pacific Islands Forum on the 8th. Fabian Hakelitz, National MTV News.
In more news to come, the PNG Health support workers to conduct secret ballots and the Tribal Foundation delivers medical supplies to rural areas. Stay with us. Welcome back. Lae Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi says many of the crimes that are being committed are caused by people consuming homebrew. He said communities need to work together with police to identify those people who are producing this illegal alcohol. Wagambi's comments follow the capture of a murder suspect who attacked and killed another person. The incident occurred in January this year at the Kamkumung settlement.
From briefs police received, it was alleged that the deceased was one of the 4 people who were all drinking homebrew at the Kamkumu settlement. The deceased was attacked and killed by the other 3 suspects after he refused to buy more of the illegal brew. 2 of the suspects were apprehended in January and are now held at the Buimo prison awaiting court proceedings. Lae Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi says the 3rd suspect was apprehended at the Top Town bus stop a week ago. He was on the run until he was spotted by an informant who alerted police. This incident is one of the many crimes that are being committed by people under the influence.
And the consumption of homebrew, it leads to a lot of disorderly conduct in public, a lot of destruction to properties, robberies that take place because of people under influence of homebrew, murders, rapes.
Police and community leaders have been carrying out awareness on the negative impacts of brewing and consuming homebrew. They are advising on the dangers it can cause to individuals who drink it. Wagambi says it is evident that those who drink this illegal substance act aggressively and in a manner that is quite different from their own personality. He is appealing to communities to work together and identify and arrest those who are producing it.
So I'm calling on members of the community to assist police and identify where these people brew them and who are the ones who are brewing it.
Matalubis, National MTV News, Lae.
After a year of not recognizing them as an association, the PNG Health support workers will conduct a secret ballot on whether or not to go on strike. The association is made up of non-clinicians and has more than 3,000 members working in all the health sectors of PNG. They have lodged a log of claims with the Department of Personnel Management in September last year, but have since received no response. They requested to be recognized and have increase in their salary, housing allowance, and have restructures and promotions. The nationwide strike will see the shutdown of health service deliveries such as medical supplies, transport, and accounting staff.
Yeah, I said there is no response. If you want to go on strike, you put X in the box here. That is provided for you. If you want to go on strike. And if you don't want to go on strike, you put X in the box provided below. Which means that this secret ballot will determine the the strike that we have proposed and planned for 3 weeks, and it's going to take it at any time. Once a second ballot is conducted, we are now, these executives will be making a final decision, the time, date, and day.
PNG Tribal Foundation has taken a whole new approach to delivering medical supplies to rural areas through the tourism industries. In partnership with Sports Fishing PNG, the NGO seeks to deliver 6,000 kina worth of medical kits to rural areas within PNG Sports Fishing's reach.
Michelle Haofa, PNGTF Director of Operations, said the donation of Cure kits in partnership with Project Cure is a reflection of their passion for the improvement of healthcare in PNG.
And to be able to bring health supplies like Papua New Guinea Tribal Foundation in partnership with Project Cure is donating, this is how services can reach our people.
As one of the nation's most active contributors to the enhancement of the health and education sector, PNGTF considers their partnership with Sports Fishing PNG invaluable because of their extensive reach into some of the most remote areas in PNG.
And with Sports Fishing Papua New Guinea, with their boat K2O, with their fishing charter K2O, which stands for Kikori to Oro, they go out to the most remotest of places in Papua New Guinea.
The presentation of these Cure kits took place on Sports Fishing PNG's latest charter boat, the K2O, between PNGTF representative Michelle Haofa, Sports Fishing representative Frederick Taligatus, and Minister for Arts, Culture and Tourism Tobias Kulang.
We are really delighted that Tribal Foundation is coming on board and extending its a community service activity through this network of sport, peace and exercise too.
Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Over 20,000 people from the ATS settlement outside of Port Moresby will benefit from a new market. This facility will provide a conducive place to sell their produce after years of marketing in the open. The market was opened by Moresby's Northeast MP Lae Amayu and witnessed by invited guests. Eric Harupma with this report.
The contingent was welcomed by traditional dancers from various provinces, leading them to the stage. Officiating at the ceremony must be noticed MP Lae Amayu, Office of Rural Development Deputy Secretary Iva Kila, Contractor Mone Youths Limited Joe Kogeng, PNGDF Air Transport Wing CEO Colonel John Motlock, and invited guests. The market facility is an initiative of the members' office funded under the District Support and Improvement Project funds.
On ATS line blow me you plus tablo here. This la market me cost him $500,000. And money play you plus build me no money blow Lae Amayu. Me sabe que plan your needs na wants lo not for for corner blow electorate blow me. Or not for community need more plan the services stuff. But me sabe also this market can help him sustain him on young mama or.
It was built at a cost of 500,000 kina by contractor Mone Youth Limited.
Innovation opening and launching of one of our impact projects at ATS community market, which has been built from funds committed and allocated by the Honorable Member for Moresby Northeast, Mr. Lae Amayu.
ATS community leaders Walter Giza and Sergeant Luke Opi on behalf of the community thanked Mr. Amayu for responding to their needs. It is situated next to the PNGDF Air Transport Wing Barracks, a government institution established in 1994. Barracks Commanding Officer Colonel John Motlock advised vendors to take ownership of the market.
Members here must also respect individuals' rights, our family rights, and everyone's right here to make sure that this place that is built here by the member is for all of us to enjoy.
In addition, Mr. Amayu donated a vehicle to ATS Piggery Association and 50,000 kina cash and another 20,000 kina to Musa Sauga Women's Group as part of the community empowerment. The event ended peacefully thanks to PNGDF and police for providing security. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
About 28 members of the PNG Defence Force Supply Company at Barracks in Port Moresby received certificates today after undergoing 3 weeks of intensive training on supply and storeman management. The training has qualified them to be familiar with the functions of a storeman. These include equipment security and maintenance, as well as how to supply goods and services during disasters.
We put a course to supply company, Malibog FSB, to run the course. We have a backlog of soldiers after intakes coming in. So because of that backlog and they are not qualified, it's pretty hard to deploy them in operations or pretty hard to deploy them in disaster operations or even military operations. So we need to get them qualified.
Road sections along the Chimbu part of the Highlands Highway need to be fixed and maintained by the national government, says villagers along the highway. The poor state of the highway between Barawagi and Chuave has become very costly for people traveling along the highway. There are instances where people along the highway fill up potholes and then ask commuters to pay them. Bethany Harriman with this report.
It's becoming a frequent occurrence along the national highway where villagers use forks and spades to fill up potholes and then ask for a fee from passing traffic. It's becoming a trend for youths along road sections between Barawagi and Chuave in the Simbu province. EMTV met Dadi Gigmai in Sinesine Yongumul district. He says they don't ask for any payment and they are helping the government do its job.
At least give them boy sumuk lol mange mosem olet mi don't know even request to because of some public road show what me like him government must at least all the time have to date law fix star road show eba sign no more na free.
Still, if they aren't asking for payment, commuters feel obliged to at least pay a small amount. The road sections along the 6 districts of the Chimbu province are being maintained, but there hasn't been any permanent sealing of the roads. It's becoming an embarrassment for the national government. In between Barawagi and Chuave, road sections in the Chimbu province still need to be fixed. Out of the 6 members of parliament, 5 of them are in the national government. 1 of them is in the opposition. But those in the government have not received the help they need to fix sections of the highway that are vital for the development of the country. It's not just in the highlands. This part of the highway along the Markham district in the Moresby province is also in an appalling state. Vehicles have to drive through an ever-increasing pothole. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4047 Australian dollars, $0.2721 euro and 31.40 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee closed higher while gold, cocoa and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil closed lower while crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 18.42 points higher, the ASX is trading at 39.67 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 37.7 points lower. Among stories after the break, Mother Teresa to be declared a saint this Sunday. Welcome back to the news. Theatre performances by grade 9 students are highlighting interesting social indicators in the country. Judges of the Moresby Arts Theatre's Pride program are impressed with the level of professionalism shown by students. The performances touched issues such as bullying, domestic violence, cervical cancer, corruption, and teen pregnancy.
It has been a marathon of performances since yesterday at the Moresby Arts Theatre. The staging of these performances marks the end of the Pride program that the Moresby Arts Theatre hosted in collaboration with staff and students from the University of Goroka and the Round Round Theatre. Dr. Awi, who led the Goroka team, was impressed with the level of professionalism and growth shown by the students.
And also in terms of character development, they're able to organize themselves as a group and collaboratively together present a performance, which is a hard work to do, and they've been given only 4 weeks to work on.
Dr. Awi and her fellow judge, Desley Tanstall, say what has been interesting was seeing how the role of women are portrayed in the shows put on by the students.
The female students that played the role of the mothers came out really strong. And I think this is very typical of the women in Papua New Guinea, and I think the girls are emulating their mothers and bringing to the public or to the audience the kind of struggle and challenges the women face.
The mothers are the ones they're listening to. So for women of my generation and your generation to be aware that your daughters and your sons are listening to you, and how you present and how you answer a challenge, they're watching you.
For the students, it has been a journey of fun and growth.
I think it's a good experience for us kids to come here and learn about some of the stuff that are affecting our children and other people in our country.
I want to gain more confidence in performing on stage.
While the Pride program is only targeted at grade 9 students, some of them still want to be a part of it next year as well. And they encourage grade 8 students this year to join next year's program.
It was great. You guys must come and take part. It's cool. You know, you learn new things.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Port Moresby General Hospital was treated to a surprise visit from Health Minister Michael Malibog. Malibog, who had been there for his routine checkup on health centers and hospitals, attracted an audience of patients eager to meet their health minister.
The health minister was greeted upon arrival at the hospital by PomGen CEO Grant Muddle. He was later given the chance to meet patients in making sure they were given the best health care available. His visit was also an opportunity for him to make personal inspections of hospital wards and newly purchased equipment. The transformation of PomGen has been an ongoing process since 2012 to help build capacity in providing better health care for patients in the hospital, as well as referrals from other provinces. The minister commended the efforts of the board, management, hospital staff and health professionals for their contributions to bringing PomGen to where it is today. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, on Sunday, Pope Francis will declare the late Mother Teresa a saint of the Catholic Church. She died in 1997 at the age of 87, easily the world's most recognized nun. Mother Teresa spent decades helping the poor. Many people considered her a living saint and saw her canonizing as a formality. CNN's reporter Malika Kapoor grew up in Kolkata and had a personal connection to Mother Teresa.
When Mother Teresa came to India, a young nun following her calling, she came to this bustling city in the east and never left. Kolkata became her home. It's where my home is too. I enjoyed a simple, happy childhood here. It revolved around family, friends, school, and Mother Teresa figured prominently in each of those spheres of my life. Initially, Mother Teresa was part of the Loreto Order of Nuns, the same order that set up this school, Loreto House, my school. And I remember sitting in these very classrooms, listening to nuns tell us stories about Mother Teresa. Locals call her simply Mother, and I often saw Mother and her sisters going about their work, helping, caring, feeding the poorest of the poor. Back then, I had no idea I was watching history unfold. She lived in the heart of the city, in this simple room where she later died. Visitors from all faiths and all walks of life were always welcome at Mother's house. It's where I first met her. She gave me this prayer. And then she took my hands in her hands. She had a really firm grip. And then she said to me over and over again, "God bless you, my child. God bless you." Mother adored children, and many local families, including mine, often helped out at her home for abandoned children. When I was a little girl, I wrote a poem on Mother Teresa. And the next time I came here, I had just tagged along with my mother, who was volunteering here at the children's home. And Mother Teresa met me and she said, come here, I want to show you something. And she had taken my poem and framed it, and by framing I mean put it in a sheet of plastic, and she had stuck it right here. Some residents complained she put Kolkata on the global map for the wrong reasons: poverty and desperation. But most locals are protective of her. They say they're proud our city produced a saint. Now, my own mother continues to volunteer with the missionaries of charity, and people who were close to Mother Teresa say, you know, this is what she always wanted, that the work should continue even after she was no more. And it is wonderful to see how actually very little has changed. If you go to Mother House, or if you go to any of the homes that were set up by her in Calcutta, to see how the work is still carrying on by the nuns, by the sisters, and by that never-ending stream of volunteers who continue to do the work that Mother Teresa started.
The U.S. president is urging Americans and world leaders to take climate change seriously. Barack Obama in Hawaii traveled to a Midway atoll said to be the world's largest protected monument.
Just take a look at what is still there, the ecosystems that have not been tampered with inside of this area that he has expanded. Now, it's worth mentioning, too, that the Papahanaumokuakea Marine Reserve that he has expanded was first created 10 years ago by George W. Bush when he was president. This is expanding it, making it much larger. And part of the reason why he made this trip to the Midway Atoll was to focus people's attention to what is out there and what they can learn from these ecosystems if they're not touched and disturbed as they have been in other parts of the Pacific Ocean, obviously the largest body of water on the continent, on the planet. But listen to what he had to say about why he wanted to do this. Take a listen.
You know, I look forward to knowing that 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 100 years from now, this is a place where people can still come to and see what a place like this looks like when it's not overcrowded or destroyed by human populations.
And as if on cue, there were also some very large turtles that were there sunbathing on Turtle Beach, as it's called. And he did remark, the president did, that he remembers seeing those kind of turtles in Hawaii when he was a kid, but that you just don't see them anymore. And that's part of his point on making this journey to the Midway Atoll.
True Guy Sports is next. Stay tuned for details.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. A battered and bruised NGI Confederate side left the field this morning humiliated in a 4-6 loss to the Highlands Confederate. While their skillful ball work stood out in the first and second halves, consistent ball handling errors near the Highlands try line cost them dearly. Only in the second half were they eased of the humiliation when David Pologau scored their first minutes before full-time.
Minutes into the first half, the Highlands Confederate side stated as if prophetically the chain of events that were to follow. Number 5, Sam Paul, fell short of the NGI try line. The lighter New Guinea Islanders struggled against their heavier Highlands opponents. They were faster though, but classy ball work couldn't get them over the try line. Then the Highlands number 2, Gibson Gipmai Jr. blasted through the NGI defense, the blistering display terminating at the try line. The key playmakers were smaller guys on the NGI side and the heavier, meaner lock and front rowers from the Highlands who did the hard yards to walk over the weak NGI defence. In the second half, NGI exerted pressure on the Highlands defence, but their mistakes came up again and again. Well into the second half, it was clear the Highlands Confederate was the dominant side. Then, as if responding to an infusion of creativity, the Highlands side almost replicated the earlier skillful play by NGI. Wari Molu again, shooting through and over. 14-0 the score. The Islanders then sent two fresh players onto the field, valuable but too late for any serious impact. Then, minutes before full time, David Pologau sent spirits soaring amidst the dismal display, scoring NGI's first. Final score, 14-6, NGI saving face. Scott White, National MTV Sports, Lae.
With the arrival of delegates from both FIFA headquarters as well as from the participating countries for the Under-20 Women's World Cup to be held in November, an opportunity for tourists to visit remains open. These were the comments made by Culture and Tourism Minister Tobias Kulang at the unveiling of the World Cup Winners' Trophy yesterday.
With the arrival of the many visitors during FIFA's one-week workshop, the belief is that sport will now benefit the country in more arenas than just on the playing pitch.
I tell you, what we have got here is, a lot of authentic stuff that you will never get anywhere in the world. And people need to come and see and enjoy. On top of that, we sell tourism. This event is very, very important. Instead of us going and looking for people, the nations of the world are going to come to our doorstep.
After the missed opportunity with the Pacific Games, the Culture and Tourism Ministry is now working on strategies that allow more involvement with sport.
Tourism office did not work and collaborate with the sporting ministry like what we are trying to do now. So the sporting events bring people together. It creates a platform where we can sell this country. And that's what we are trying to do. So every other major sporting events that are coming, we are going to use that to sell tourism.
During the Pacific Games, over 4,000 athletes and officials visited Papua New Guinea, with foreign journalists and tourists also taking the opportunity to visit. Earlier in the year, Sports Foundation CEO Peter Chamalili Jr. had also stated that the coinciding of the PNG Games with the FIFA Under-20 World Cup would also be an opportunity to showcase Papua New Guinea's diverse culture. Sport Minister Justin Chichenko also holds the same belief.
So to get those big international competitions, working with the different sporting codes, working with the different organisations to bring them here to Port Moresby, to Papua New Guinea, and have these events right here on our shores. I mean, we're standing in this fabulous brand new hotel here, the Stanley Hotel. This is a sign of where we're going into the future.
The 15 visiting countries participating in this year's World Cup come from Africa, Europe, Asia, the Americas, as well as Oceania.